Hi there, gorgeous! Hope you're doing fabulously. So I was reading this article from Allure recently, and they had all these tips and tricks for how to stop your concealer from creasing and to make it last longer throughout the day. God knows I need help in that area, so I thought it would be a great one to put to the test. And the way that I'm doing it in this video is I'll show you all of the Allure tips and tricks on one side of my face in comparison to the way that I usually apply my concealer on the other side. Wear both sides throughout the day. I'll come back and show you, did Allure's tips really work to extend the wear time of the concealer or not? I have everything applied up to this point except for concealer, of course, because we're going to be trying that crease-free method based on Allure's article. So the first thing they tell us to do is to hydrate. I completely agree with that statement too. You cannot expect to apply anything on top of a base that is not well taken care of. That's why skincare is so important, because if your skin doesn't look great, anything you put on top is not going to look great either. The eye cream I'm going with today is one from Shiseido. This is their Benefiance Wrinkle Resist 24. Now this is a very heavy eye cream. It is, so I'm not using that much. I'm taking the smallest amount and I'm going to tap that in under the eye area. Olay has some really great eye creams too. That's typically the one that I use, but I had to throw mine out recently because it was expired, so I need to go get another one. But this is good too for day wear if you use the smallest amount. Step number 2, they say to choose your formula carefully. It's important to choose products that complement your skin type, and I would absolutely agree with that. If you have dry skin, go with a hydrating concealer. If you have oily skin, you can go with a more dry concealer, something like a stick concealer. It works really well for me usually. And if you have more mature skin, then you want to go with a hydrating concealer also. And if you would like some recommendations based on your skin type, I'll have them listed for you below in the description box too. Next step, they say, is to use your hands. Applying under eye concealer with the fingers helps it meld into the skin instead of just sitting on top of the skin. Now that makes sense. I've never done it personally, so that's going to be something new that I'm going to try here today with you. One of the other things they suggest here is to layer your concealer, and this is something I've not ever tried before, so I'll be interested to see how this works. But they say if you have dark under eye circles, it's best to apply sheer layers of the concealer and build it. So start with a sheer liquid concealer on the entire under eye area, and then apply a fuller coverage concealer on top. So I'm going to try that. Working with my hands, no brushes, no sponges. I'm first using the L'Oreal Visible Lift concealer. This is a more liquid consistency. The shade that I'm using here is Fair. So I'm going to apply a very sheer layer under my eyes first. And you've probably heard this before, but I'm using my ring finger because that is the weakest finger on your hand, and so you're not going to be pulling and tugging that much under your eye. You want to protect the skin under your eye because it's so thin and delicate. The other thing I read, I almost forgot, they said to look up when you're applying your concealer. You want to basically stretch the canvas, because if you apply it with your eyes facing straight forward, it will create creases in the folds of your eyes. So this is helping to get the concealer into those folds. This is where you start to see all the stuff on your ceiling that you didn't know was there. If you need to see what you're doing, you can also look down. It does the same thing as looking up. Just make sure you're getting the concealer into the folds of the skin under your eyes. I'm working one eye at a time here. We'll do the other one here in a minute. I'm taking the number 7 stick concealer. This is in the shade Light Medium. I do always use my fingers for application with this one. It helps a lot to get the product to blend into the skin. So I'm applying that over the top, and I'm going to do the same method I did before. And this is a fuller coverage concealer compared to the last one I just used. I'm gonna go back and edit this footage and be like, close your mouth, close your mouth. It's okay. If your mouth is open, you're doing it right. Last step they tell us to do here is to use the baking technique, which if you're not familiar with that technique, it's taking a thick layer of setting powder, applying it under the eyes, letting it sit there for a few minutes or so, and then dusting it away. I have a little bit of a problem with this recommendation, only because if you have more mature skin, generally speaking, if you do the baking method, it can draw out fine lines and make your under eyes look worse. So I'm a little surprised to see that they are recommending that. But further down in the article, they say if you don't have time to bake, gently pressing a setting powder into your concealer while it's not quite dry will also set it. So we're gonna do that because I don't personally like baking. I feel like yeah. If you can do it and it works for you, that's wonderful. It's generally not something that's favorable for most people though, especially if you use a powder that has silica in it. If you bake with a powder that has silica and you take a picture with flash, be prepared to have white under eyes. It's just not cute. To set my under eyes here today, I'm using the Catrice Nude Illusion Loose Powder, and I'm going to take a small fluffy brush here. This is the Sedona Lace EB13. I'm first going to make sure that the concealer has not settled into any lines under my eyes. So if you need to go back and tap in the excess, definitely do that before this step. And then I'm taking a little bit of powder and I'm going to press it into the under eye area. I'm also going to look up at the same time to make sure I'm getting it into the folds underneath the eye there. And there you can see the results from this eye to this eye. It does look beautiful. There's no crease under my eye whatsoever at the moment, but I'll be back to show you at the end of the video what my eyes looked like at the end of the day. And actually, you know what? I was going to do this eye in the same way I did this one, but I'm gonna do it in my traditional way that I would apply concealer because obviously what I'm doing isn't working. So I'm going to put it up against this side to see if Allure's tips really are worth trying. I do have a moisturizer applied because I typically do apply a moisturizer under my eyes before my makeup application anyway, so we're going to leave that part alone. I am going to take the L'Oreal Visible Lift Concealer and apply that under my eye, but I'm doing a thicker layer because most people, at least from what I've heard, tend to apply a thicker layer of concealer thinking that, oh yes, because I have dark under eye circles, I need a lot of coverage. And then we make that mistake because we think more is better, which is not always the case. And I'm blending this in with the concealer brush from e.l.f. I'm not going to look up. I'm going to look straight ahead because I'm sure this is another common mistake made by myself included. I am not coming on here and telling you I'm perfect. I am not. I learn new stuff every single day. And now that I have that blended in, I am going to take the stick concealer that I used over here too, and I'm going to apply an even thicker layer of that than I did on this eye. And instead of using my finger to blend that in, I am going to use a damp sponge to blend it under the eyes. Taking that same powder from Catrice, I'm using a more fluffy brush for the under eye application, and I'm not going to pack it under the eye. Instead, I'm going to lightly dust it because that's traditionally what I do to set my concealer. Sure, yeah, it looks beautiful right now, but will it hold up throughout the day? We'll see. I'll be back to show you both sides at the end of the video. Wow. It's been close to 8 hours at this point, and there is a noticeable difference between the two eyes. And I'll come in real close here so you can see exactly what I am seeing. This is the eye where we applied all those techniques to stop concealer creasing. This is the eye where I did everything the way that I normally do it. And look at that. That looks terrible. Oh my goodness. Yuck. So if you've struggled with concealer creasing in the past, give these tips a try. I mean, you have nothing to lose when you think about it. You're using your fingers for application, which are attached to you. Those are free. And you're only doing it in a different way than what you may be accustomed to. And I think you're going to be most impressed by the results of putting these key tips into your routine. I know it's definitely changed the way that I look at applying my concealer and how I'm going to be applying it in the future. Share your tips and tricks below for crease-free concealer also. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Please subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.